What's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to another episode of 420 News, and it's probably just about gone past 420 because I was hoping to have a multi-stream going today, but unfortunately that looks like it'll be held off until Monday. Apologies, also just packing up a bowl there as well, just to join in on the 420 festivities. It is Friday, after all, Friday. Hi there. So I hope everybody is doing good out there. As I say, I will aim to on Monday. From Monday on, there will be a stream going live on Facebook, YouTube, and hopefully Twitch also. So we're coming up in the world, getting out there further afield onto the different platforms, learning about different tools that are available to me. So onwards and upwards, guys. Sky is our limit, you know. Reach as high as you can. I'm going to find my lighter here. It's in my pocket. Right. Got so much going on around me. So guys, if you got it out there, blaze them on up. My choice today is my trusty bong. But again, I will acknowledge the fact that vaporizer is probably the more healthier way of ingesting it if you want to inhale your cannabis. So just keep that in mind, you know, a health disclaimer. Vaporizing is better than combustion because I have to use a flame. Flame burns all the cannabis and produces kind of toxic compounds. But look, there's a lot more beneficial stuff in there that I hope will outweigh the bad. So a lot less, yeah, that's it. As you can probably see, the bong needs a bit of a clean. The water is what's fresh, I suppose, anyway, and that's what matters to me. So guys, I've a bit of news to deliver to you today, as it is 420 News, and it is Friday, and I just got my bong hit in there. Before we get on to it, just to remind you, if you want to support the show, and more importantly, if you want to support the fight for cannabis legalisation in Ireland, you can sign up to the patreon.com/Martin's World, and you can also make donations in the form of bitcoins up there to the website, martinsworld.ie, and there's a little button on the website, you can make a click and donate bitcoins there if you so wish. Again, guys, if you can't support the show, if you can't support the fight for cannabis legalisation financially in Ireland, that's totally fine, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, you know, and engage in these kind of conversations out there, because, you know, there's so much you could be doing to help for the legalisation of cannabis in Ireland, and conversations are probably one of the big ways of getting it done. So we have to come out of the closet now about our cannabis use, and we can't hide it anymore. And again, the funds there will be used to establish a cannabis activist hub in Cork City. So again, we can bring ourselves together, better organise ourselves to fight for legalisation, but more importantly, just meet like-minded people, because we've existed so long online. We need to just take it away from there. We can't allow this stigma and this fear keep us divided any longer. So I'm hoping to unite the community here in Cork, and lead the way for the rest of Ireland too, so other people in their own areas can do the exact same thing, set up their own little cannabis activist hubs, clubs, call them what you will, where people can come together, meet, organise and socialise, because we're a community, and we need to be represented. Jeez, sorry, hit that button there by mistake. So guys, before I get into the news, I had a few messages come into me there over the last 2 days. Well, I've gotten a lot of messages, but two I wanted to share to you. One of them was about the fact that there was people out there who got ripped off recently, and unfortunately so, when they were sold CBD flowers, what they believed to be CBD flowers anyway, because there was no high or any effect with it. So that's what they believed they were sold. The flowers looked good, smelt okay and everything, but there was just no high or anything like that at all with it. So just, again, guys, just reminder, be wide of what you're buying, who you're buying it from, know your source, and be careful, because it's scary out there, the amount of people who are getting ripped off at the moment. I talked about it at the start of the lockdown there last year, where people were getting caught with like probably bags of oregano and all sorts of nasty stuff. Other people just getting straight up robbed, and assaulted, and they're unable to report the crime then afterwards because of the fact what they were doing is illegal, which is it's just scandalous that that is the case. And there was another message then I got as well, and this came in from somebody, and I thought it's worth sharing because I'm hoping to have an interview there next week with Natalie O'Regan, and we hope to have a chat about the stigma that exists around cannabis and cannabis users, and the effect that can have on a person. So this message comes in and it says, "Well, Martin, I've been watching your podcast for a while now, and I just wanted to share a few things with you. I use cannabis medicinally for a heap of mental disorders, including ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and for back pain. I really wish I could get my medicine legally. Since it's illegal, I cannot find a good source for cannabis and rarely get told the strain. So it's a gamble if it will help me and the way I need it. And with the horrible pricing, I can only use cannabis sometimes. If I'm lucky, once a day or at night time before bed, but most of the time only weekends every second week. I also do a lot of volunteering in my community and youth centres back at the start of the year, and one of the young people that knows me through the youth centre went into my back garden and into my shed, and they found a bong and they went off and told people about it. And this left me feeling terrified and about what was going to happen, because I'm a role model to so many people around the area. So I called up to the person who manages me and where I volunteer, and she basically told me they're meant to kick me out and cut contact with me, but because I help out so much, they won't do that, and they will try to help him to stay away from drugs and do like a rehab. And do like a rehab with me saying that I'm unhealthy and this is a bad decision. So after hearing all of this, I just said, I forgot to mention it's not illegal cannabis, it's CBD cannabis from a local CBD shop, and then it was perfectly okay. I hate how much stigma there is around this. Before the call I made, I was the person who helps out 4 days a week, over 1,000 hours in the past 3 years, who all of the young people look up to into a drug addict. So he would have been made look into a drug addict who cannot be around the young people because I choose to use a plant as a medicine in my own back garden at night time in the privacy of my home. So that was a very, I just thought that was worth sharing there. So this person basically is a volunteer, a person who brings benefit to the community. He's helping many young people. And basically, because he uses cannabis, he wouldn't be able to fulfill that role. He would be stigmatized, as I hope to have a conversation with Natalie next week about this kind of, and the effect that can have on a person and the way it makes him believe and behave. You know, the fact you have to hide it, you can't engage in conversations, you have to hide it up, that causes mental torture, it really does, because you're not allowed to be who you are. You have to hide it. That's not good at all. You know, what this man is saying here is that the fact that he has to admit that what he is doing is wrong, even though he knows it is not wrong because it's bringing him so much benefit, that the fact that he has to be without it is the thing that's wrong. But yet, no, we don't see it like that at all, which is a real heartbreaker, unfortunately. So I just want to share that, and this is the kind of stigma we're fighting against. This is not about just the ability to have a bit of cannabis, and hit it from a bong or to roll it up in a joint or anything. It's about much more than this. It's about the ability for a person to be free not only from targeting from the law, but from the judgments that is passed on us as a community and society. The fact that it's much harder to get a job as a cannabis consumer. That's bollocks, because as an alcohol consumer, you're not at the same detriment at all. When you go into work on a Monday morning, if they were to do a drug test on you, they don't drug test you for alcohol. They don't. And even if for the other illegal drugs, let's say cocaine, if you use cocaine on a Friday or a Saturday night, there's a good chance you will pass that test on a Monday morning. Cannabis, it's not the same. It's just so much wrong with it, and we just need to just rise up against this, because it's just so wrong. So on with the news we go, guys. Thanks, guys, for those messages, and to anybody else who wants to send in messages, look, I'll deal with them as anonymous as possible. I won't reveal your identities, but if you feel like you want to share your stories with me, definitely do get in touch in any way, shape and form. If you've been stopped and searched by the guards and you want to share that, by all means, do get in touch if you're happy to come on the podcast. I'd be happy to have you on the podcast to share your story and your experience, because you've heard mine so much. I want to hear other people's, because I'm not the only person who feels like this or who's been tortured and harassed by a Gardai when they're out there looking for their cannabis. And this next story then, look, is this really annoyed me when I seen this in the news there earlier. This was the headline: Drugs Ireland, Gardai storm Cannabis Den. What the hell is a Cannabis Den? Like, in fairness, please explain to me, what is a Cannabis Den? I don't know what that is. Like, I know what a Lion's Den is, but what's Cannabis Den? Like, come on. A Cannabis Den, as youngster arrested in massive South States thing. And the youngster then, when I got into it was a 25-year-old young lad. Unfortunately, he got caught up in this. So this was above in a place called Tennior, Terrenure in by Rathmines in County Dublin. And officers seized around €80,000 worth of cannabis herb following the search of a residence in that area. Gardai from the district drugs unit then carried out their operation as part of the sale and supply of controlled drugs in the area. So during the bust, 4 kilos of cannabis herb was snatched by Gardai, and a 25-year-old man was arrested a short time later. He's currently being quizzed at the Terranure Garda station under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Act, and a Garda spokesperson told that said that the investigations are ongoing. No further information is available at this time. Investigations? Sure, what investigation is there to be done, really? Like, sure, you got the cannabis, you got the young fella. Happy days, job done, boys. Go on to the next one, because you know this is an endless bloody war, and there's an endless amount of young fellas willing to take this feckin' risk and put themselves out there like this, because the reward is so great. You know, you lock this young fella up now at a cost to the state of in excess of €100,000 a year. You know, I'd imagine COVID has brought up the price of taking care of these prisoners currently. But you know, 100,000 a year at the cost of the taxpayer for what? For €80,000 worth of cannabis herb. And as I say, there will be multiple young fellas out there willing to just jump at the chance to operate a cannabis den, a cannabis fucking den. Like, in all fairness, like, it's just fair mongering. That's all it is. Like, it's about demonizing it, trying to bring it down, because like, where you seen this word before, you used to be like with heroin dens and crack dens and stuff like that. A den, like, it's somewhere like where an animal sleeps. You know, that's what they're trying to do to us as a community. A cannabis den. You know, they're trying to put us down there like a second-class citizens, as animals. Like, you know, they're basically being brought to the slaughter there, and the slaughterhouse for us is the bloody courthouses. But we can't stand for that, like, you know. Unlike the animals out there being brought to the slaughterhouses, we are humans, we have voices, and we can stand up against this oppression, like, because it's just wrong that it's allowed to happen to us, and for so long, and so many victims of it then. Like, I'm coming from my experience as a cannabis consumer, as somebody who doesn't really need it for any major medical condition. But look at the people out there who could die without access to this stuff, or the people who live in pain every day without access to this stuff. Like, you know, so many people, like, victims of this fucking prohibition on cannabis. What a stupid prohibition for us ever to put in place. And then these dopey journalists then with their cannabis dens, like, oh, thank God for 420 News, and we can straighten these articles out, because really what this headline should be saying, and I'm sorry I didn't actually correct it with a replacement there on the video, but what this should say is: Gardai waste a pile of taxpayers' time, and now a young fella is going to burden the taxpayers with over 100,000 a year for growing a few plants or for having a bit of cannabis. Do you know, absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, these journalists and these government politicians who let this stuff happen. Do you know, I can't wait to see Gina Kenny's bill. I can't wait for it to get before a government, and I can't wait to hear the arguments against it. You know, the old sleepy Eamon Ryan, and Ireland isn't ready yet, despite the fact the Green Party has a policy around it. Oh man, what a gobshite. Oh man. Breathe. Onwards we go, guys. Let's bounce on to the next piece of news, and we hop on across the pond there to the UK, where we look at the Twitter from the Birmingham East NTF. So National Task Force, I don't know what that is. Narcotics Task Force, actually. Yeah, Narcotics Task Force, that makes sense. But their tweet went out there and it says, thanks to the snow today, because basically the cops are useless, like they get lucky, and thanks to the snow, the Narcotics Task Force 3, whoever they are, were able to find a cannabis grow in the Erdington when officers noticed it wasn't setting on property's roof. A cannabis grow was found within, along with drying racks full of cannabis, and the Erdington WMP 2 today. So basically, they had another raid there as well. So these guys love their Twitter shit, like, but like when you go onto their Twitter, like it backfires them. But I suppose actually when I say it backfires to them, to me it looks like it's backfiring to them. But to them, they're getting interaction. They're getting their page out there to more people. They're getting more comments, more likes, more shares on their posts because people interact with cannabis posts. When they post up there about heroin and stuff like that, sadly, they don't get the same reaction. People are just like, oh yeah, well done, well done, well done. But when the cannabis ones comes out there, the cannabis warriors love to come out of the closet then. All these keyboard warriors straight out there hitting they share the comments and stuff like that, letting them their minds be known. But then sadly, that doesn't just fucking come out into the real world, sadly. But some of those pictures there, as you can see inside there, this actually isn't the house, but I imagine this is something what it might have looked like. What the cops would have been lured to is the fact that, look at his house, there's no snow on the roof. That's, you know, I don't know, that's an old myth that has been thrown out around there. Maybe the cops just made up the story of the snow on the roof. You just don't know. But because these guys, as I say, that they love the PR, that they love their social media, that they've been interacting with it an awful lot. But you see the drying rack here, and then the cannabis, and then, as I said, they love their PR. They can't wait for the opportunity to look at this. Like, oh, they've seen a little sign in the garden of the house that says no weeds allowed. It's like, oh yeah, let's place the cannabis down there. And in fairness, like, bravo to them, like that's great placement of cannabis. But like, to me, that's not a weed in my garden anyway, because the definition of weed is actually a plant that you don't want in your garden. And for me, cannabis is most certainly a plant I would love in my garden. So it is not a weed in my eyes. It is the cannabis plant, and is an incredibly beneficial plant. And to call it a weed is derogatory. It's much like saying cannabis dens. And I know us as a community is cannabis culture and, you know, the weed scene. But again, weed, like, it's an unwanted plant in your garden, and it's a bit of a derogatory term in my own eyes. But look, it's the slang. I'm not going to get caught up in that kind of crack. But look, one more tweet from the guys then as well, and this kind of annoyed me as well, because look, to the people setting up cannabis grows all over Castlevale, we are on to you. Here's hoping you haven't lost too much money because of us this year already. Happy New Year's from the Narcotics Task Force. And what a joke this is, because basically, like, the people who are really losing money are the taxpayers. These criminals are cleaning up, like, fecking up. That this cannabis garden that the guys take, or even the two of them, like, for those two, that gang who operates them could have had 10 more just like it, you know. The 25-year-old there that I mentioned that got caught up in Dublin, like, you know, he's just a fall guy for it. Like, the guys operating up above him are quick to come in and to just replace those young people, to replace these cannabis grow-ups, like, to replace those number of kilos on the bed, because the black market is so lucrative, and it affords them the ability to do it. And because there are so many young, desperate people out there willing to take the chance to be the next fucking Al Capone or whoever, you know, whatever kind of, who was your man Nitch, is it, or Nidge, whatever, the guys from Love Hate and all of this, like, because sadly, like, there is young people out there who do idolize to be these kind of people in our society, the drug dealer, to have the flashy watch, the flashy car, stacks of cash, you know, like we see it in the songs, the rappers and all of this kind of crack. Like, it is an idolized position that kids sadly do look up to, and they're at risk. The longer prohibition stays in place, and these posts from the cops on Twitter, like, really, like, it'd be more along the lines of these guards or these police over there to actually engage with the policy makers to see something meaningful done that will really help the communities. But no, it's a lot to be expected. Like, you know, maybe I'm smoking too much cannabis, and But surely that's not like the wrong thing to be expecting. But obviously it won't happen. Guys, onwards we go then. Look, we hop on over there to Amsterdam. I talked about it the other day where there was protests over there because of the placement of some of the cannabis grow operations that they're looking to set up over there. And basically what it is locals were saying nothing in my area kind of thing because the negative image that there's associated currently with cannabis growing over there. It's just not something that the public has widely accepted, and nobody really wants it in their area for fear of what it might bring to that area because of the where cannabis is coming from. It was illegal over there all along. You know, you couldn't grow it legally over there all along. The people growing it over there were criminals all along. So for the locals down there now, they're like, but cannabis growers are criminals. How can we set up a cannabis grow in this area? I don't want criminals in my area. You know, you see the mindset? It's hard to change the mindset there. So people are protesting it in Amsterdam now. And that was the other day. I kind of touched off of that. And this now is different. This is the Amsterdam Mayor now. And this is something that was touched upon before in Amsterdam. I've seen them try to push this kind of a thing before where police want to ban the foreign tourists from cannabis shops. And there's been an active effort over there in Amsterdam actually to shut down some of the coffee shops and stuff like that, sadly. So the article, it says here, Amsterdam wants to eventually ban foreign tourists from coffee shops in the city. The Amsterdam collaboration of Mayor Femp Halsema, the district police and the district office of the prosecution service have crafted a plan outlining their vision for the future of coffee shops with the prevention of tourists from entering them, a key piece of the plan according to a letter they sent to a city council on Friday. That's interesting. Like the people involved in this, right? You have a mayor, you have the district police and the district office of the prosecution service. So this is the collaboration. All of these people benefit from keeping cannabis sold illegally to tourists. If you were to look at it, if you were to lock tourists out of the cannabis coffee shops, where do they get their cannabis now? They get it on the black market. They get it illegally. Who benefits from that? The police, maybe? I don't know. Maybe there's more of a budget there for them to tackle this sort of crime now, this new crime. Who knows? I don't know. I could just see a bias as to why these people might want that to be in place. But obviously, surely the district police, like I've met some of the police when I was in Amsterdam, and they're sound. They had no issue with us smoking, no issue at all with us having cannabis. Like they were really nice guys, like and polite. That was on their jumper. Right? That was always cool, like to see that. Like yeah. But the article goes on to say then that despite the city's decreasing the number of coffee shops from 283 to 166 now currently, and that was over the past 20 years. So Amsterdam has been decreased from 283 coffee shops to 166 in the last 20 years. And I think a lot of those happened there within the last 5 years, even maybe 10 years, because I can remember they changed the zoning over there or something like that, which saw the closure of a lot of coffee shops around simple education spots where it might have been an English college or something like that, and they weren't able to open any longer. So that was a bit messed up there because of that. And the article goes on to say then that some coffee shops saw their turnover then increase by between 75 and 200% in that period. So there's been others out there who've massively benefited from the closure of these coffee shops because now the demand is concentrated into the more shops or into less shops. It says we have seen that many groups of young people come to Amsterdam to visit coffee shops. In the past, Amsterdam decided against using a residence-only criterion at coffee shops, worrying that banning foreign tourists from the coffee shops will result in an increase in the illegal street trade, as I just talked about. But according to the Halsema, research now showed that a large number of foreign tourists indicated they would no longer come to Amsterdam if they couldn't visit a coffee shop. That's interesting. So because a little survey says people wouldn't come to Amsterdam if they couldn't visit a coffee shop. But despite that, if there's still a market there for the locals, people will still come thinking they'll be able to obtain it through that local shop. Otherwise, yeah, somewhere like Spain might become more of a target to tourists now. And I know myself, I would consider going to Spain more over Amsterdam just because of the sunshine there. Not to say that Amsterdam doesn't get some sunshine during the summer, but like Barcelona, like come on, or even any of the more southern places in Spain and stuff, they're like some lovely places. Also have to get out to Morocco as well, but look, that's another day's story. So the article goes on then to say that, so while banning foreign tourists from coffee shops could still result in an increase in illegal drug trade, the trade could also decrease due to fewer tourists actually coming to the city. The influx of tourists already resulted in a huge increase in the street trade in recent years, especially in fake dope. But again, that's an issue to be taken up because of feckin' prohibition. Like, it's not the coffee shop's fault. Come on. So it goes on then to say that the mayor, the police, and the prosecutor also want to prevent any monopolies from forming by limiting how many coffee shops a chain can have. This is ridiculous. Like, the goal is to reduce the demand and make the supply smaller and more local, and thus achieve a manageable and transparent cannabis market. In addition to a residents-only rule for coffee shop, the city wants to start regulating the local cannabis markets in phases. The first step will be to introduce a quality mark. Coffee shops with a quality mark will be allowed to keep larger stocks of a cannabis in store, which means that couriers, popular targets for robberies, have to replenish the stock less often. Man, this is so messed up. Like, so because, like, basically, right, many people don't realize that cannabis is not illegal in Amsterdam. It is illegal. It's just tolerated. So a coffee shop can only have up to 500 grams currently, as the rules in Amsterdam are, and they can't buy cannabis off of a farm because there is no legal farms as such. They're testing out a model now, which, as I just talked about earlier, locals are protesting against because they don't want a legal cannabis farm in their area, because maybe it might be targeted by the criminals who feel they're being undermined because they don't get access to the licenses, because like they want to say that they're trying to avoid monopolies, but yet this fucking program they're setting up for the growing is a monopoly in itself. And this could be a reason why locals don't want it there. All right, if I get a license, let's say, to set up a cannabis grow operation in this area, and there's about 20 other people growing in that area, but they're doing so illegally, they're going to be jealous of me. They might target me. They might do something nefarious. Like, so if you're not my neighbours, you might not want to be my neighbours for fear of this. Man, what a mess they're after causing over there by their toleration of it, like, and all of this kind of tiptoeing towards legalisation. Like, what a feckin' mess they're making of it in Amsterdam by the looks of it. So sadly, look, the Green Party, guys, your coffee shop model, Amsterdam, guys, get it out of your head, like, stop. Let's talk about cannabis cooperatives. Let's talk about like what they're doing maybe in Barcelona, Spain, something like that. Something similar to what they done over in America too, where they were able to set up patient cooperatives. Oh, Amsterdam, what a mess they're making of it over there, sadly. It was never a good model at all, because again, the supply was illegal. Like, what a mess they made of it. So, guys, onwards we go to other bits of news. Cannabis stocks. So I talked about the fact that there was results there in Georgia for the Democrats, where basically 2 Democrats won out 2 seats for the Senate, which was a massive win for the MORE Act. The MORE Act, if you don't know what it is, it's a bill that's going to be before the Senate now, hopefully soon. And hopefully this will see through as they're expecting now, which will be that it'll be a 50-50 split, because Republicans versus Democrats in the House will be 50-50. And then that the vice president incumbent will be Kamala Harris, who is a Democrat, and she will support the bill. And this bill then will see effectively cannabis federally decriminalised or legalised. I don't know what the correct term will be to apply there, but because of this news now, cannabis stocks are kicking off. So I believe the article there says that the shares of cannabis companies jumped on the news of the Democratic Senate candidates Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff defeating their Republican opponents. So Canopy Growth, a company I talked about before, the largest cannabis company by market cap, they jumped 15% in their stock price. Other industry leaders like Kronos Group and Aurora's Cannabis are up by 22% and 10% respectively. So there you go, like guys, well done to anybody who's out there and invested in this. Like that's not something that really interests me. It all flies over my head, stocks and all of that trading and stuff. Like, I understand prices going up and down, but like it just all flies over my head. But one thing that does really annoy me about this is there's people out there now who are making massive amounts of money off of cannabis, while still currently around the world there are many people in prison, and many people like myself currently held back in life because we carry fucking criminal records for cannabis. And meanwhile, we look at it, there's people making millions from it. Like, there's people like living more fulfilled lives now because of the benefits of cannabis. It's just annoying. So I hope these people, you know, maybe they'll think about the money that they've come into, and they might start giving back to the cannabis community now and supporting these social justice causes that seek to give equity to people who've been displaced because of the laws. You know, you see things in America where they're looking now to have in areas where it's disproportionately like black people who've been punished, and then like cannabis market comes along and the only people operating cannabis dispensaries in those areas are white people. It's just like, what the hell is up there? Like, all along it's been black people going to prison in these areas for cannabis dealing and cannabis possession. And now the guy selling it to him is a white man. It's the same guy who's been oppressing him. And again, look, not to get into the race and all of that crack, like, but when you look at it, the numbers speak for themselves. They do not lie. If you were a black or Hispanic person over in America, you were disproportionately more punished than a white person because of these bloody laws. And now the big winners, the cannabis stocks, like, really, like, stocks, that's again, not to be racist or anything. Like, I know there's probably many black people out there who get involved with it, but you think of stocks, you think of white old men. That's what comes into my mind anyway when I think of stocks and the stock market. Dudes in suits, like, you know, that's it. Like, the colour doesn't really come into it, but if you were to ask me, like, yeah, it would probably be a room full of white dudes in suits and a couple of black guys, you know, making up a minority probably, like, but, you know, again, it's wrong. It's wrong because these would be the people who've been punished more or less over the years, and these need to be the people who need to be looked after as the markets now mature. And yeah, so we go on then. Oh no, we don't go on because that is it. So guys, a quick one today actually. Do we? Yeah, we got it in under the 40 minutes actually today. Happy days. I didn't manage to get a lot of news gathered today because I was doing a bit of interviewing there earlier with some other guests. So I do look forward to getting those out to you in due time. Again, I can't release that stuff because it's sensitive currently because of things going on. So I won't say any more about that just at the moment. But yeah, I do look to get more out to you. I'm going to pop over there now to see what the crack is on the comments. It'll be interesting to see what it'll be like now next week once I get the multi-stream going and how I'll manage the comments. But I certainly won't be forgetting about the guys over here on Facebook, guys. It's where I started, and it's certainly where I will be keeping my focus on all the many people who I've gotten to know over the last couple of months. Geez, when was it I started this? I can't really remember when exactly I started this. It was sometime in the summer anyway. So we're going for nearly over 6 months now, so happy days. So Tony says, well Martin, how am I? I'm good. I'm a bit high, but it's Friday. That's good. It's high Keith says, you're making me jealous now, Martin. I'm waiting on some to come. So yeah, sorry to hear that, man. I hope I might have arrived as the show went on and you managed to blaze up in with me. And Sean there says, cracked everybody out there. Happening, Sean, nice one for tuning in. And Christy Casey says, grow your own, it's the only way. And I agree with you 100%, guys. Grow your own, it's the best way to do it. Get together, you know, a couple of friends, set up a little grow collective there between you and split the costs and split the harvest at the end, guys. It's the best way to do things currently under the current model. Sally says there, the podcast with Darren Lasson was a good watch. Please God, some of these politicians will fucking pull their finger out of their arse this year and just legalise it. So yeah, nice one, guys. If you haven't seen that, I done an interview there recently with Darren Larson, and that's up now online. And you know, an inspirational activist out there, you know, pushing the boundaries, as he said it in the podcast. And I must get a little snip of that particular piece. But it's just like, why are we waiting for the government to give us permission to do this, you know, when we know it's the right thing to do? Currently, there's many criminals out there benefiting majorly by supplying cannabis to the people, when it's us, the people who are demanding it, if we just sorted out the supply ourselves and just, feck the government, feck getting their permission. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Set up non-profit cannabis collectives where the community comes together. We figure out the costs involved in setting up a grow and running a grow and paying the people who work and give their time to the operation, give them a fair wage, and we keep a non-profit. And then if the government come in, or if the authorities come in and raid us, we just show them the paperwork. Okay, well, look, we're not criminals. This is not a criminal enterprise. We're not looking to make profit. We're just looking to sort out the bloody mess that our government has left us in currently, because they won't deal with this shit. That currently Gino Kenny's bill is going to be up before them, but will they support it? It's yet to be seen. Currently, what we have seen is no, it's not going to be supported. The Green Party, the only guys who possibly would have supported it in our government, they've come out and said they're not going to support it already. So what hope is there that the Green Party or that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are ever going to support it, really? So feck waiting around for permission, guys. Let's just do this. John O'Regan, again, he talked about doing this, setting up cannabis collectives where people just come together, pool their resources, put a few bucks together there every week, every month, whatever, cover the costs of setting up a grow, running it, paying a wage for the grower, and the people who come in do the trimming and all of that stuff. Get a nice little community economy going there, and any extra money that's generated from the grow, then we can throw on some kick-ass 420 events, and do some other amazing things. Set up testing facilities so we can test the cannabis for the patients or for the consumers. But onwards we go to the other comments. Ashlyn Hudson happening out there. Ashlyn, thanks for tuning in. She says ridiculous social norms, and I agree with you. Sean adds in that not a chance unless we make a lot of noise. And this is what I'm saying, guys. We have to make a lot of noise, but at the same time, making noise comes in different forms. Setting up a little cannabis grow collective, now there's a great way of making noise. Do it quietly. Don't draw attention to yourself just yet. Wait until the time is right, and then go forward. Get it set up. But that's something that would make an awful lot of noise if we were to do it across the country. Sean adds in there, hello Martin, enjoying this smoke. Good to hear, Sean. Nice one. Ashlyn says that it should just have to pay a tax on profits like anything else, 100%. We should treat it like anything else. Tomatoes and all of the other kind of produce the farmers grow should be treated just like that, yeah. Robert adds in there that the states that have legalized cannabis continue to see a thriving black market and increasing rates of drug use. There is an exponential use of cannabis now happening in Canada, America, where the states have legalized it. In Portugal, where they've legalized access, the increased use of cannabis has equally exponentially increased. And he goes on to say that while he was responding to Kenny's argument that Ireland should introduce greater access to medicinal cannabis, he said that real-world examples prove that cannabis black markets did not go away following legalization, and usage actually increased exponentially. And that's because there is exponential use, because you legalize cannabis. You have a lot of people out there who once believed that there was many people out there who went away from cannabis because of the illegal nature to it, and now it's illegal, and it's just oh great, there's this thing I did in my 20s that I stopped doing because it was I didn't want to be breaking the law, but now it's not breaking the law. Oh good, I can use it. The fact that more people go to use it, why is that even an argument against it? It's just more stigma. That's all it is. So that's not really much of an argument there against it, unless you're being judgmental and saying that you don't like cannabis consumers, or that they're bad people, or something like that. Again, stigma, discrimination, we shouldn't allow it. Ashlyn adds in there, the police have to be in on it at that level. Yeah, possibly that the police have to be in on it at that level. I would say that our police are not infallible in this country. They don't get paid enough for the job that they do, and the fact that they target cannabis consumers then is just a joke. I think their guards should be getting paid a lot more for the job they do, and they shouldn't be doing jobs like targeting cannabis consumers. Just no, it's ridiculous. Thieves, rapists, murderers, there's enough of them out there, for a Gardaí to be keeping busy, that they're sending them after the likes of me because I have fucking some herb, because you feel endangered because of this, at all. I don't know too many people who feel endangered because of a herb. Come off the stage, lads. Just get them after the real criminals. Um, Sean says, I actually like the Monopoly bit. They are trying to sync a good idea with terrible ones. Could get jobs in that Doyle, that lot. Yeah, there you go, man. Corrupt a whole lot of them. And James says, true. Nice one for agreeing with me. Can't remember what you're saying that to, but nice one anyway, James, for the comment. Dennis adds in there that hopefully that bill passes with everyone's support. And guys, it is only going to be with our support that it's going to get done. Legal like broccoli, then Ashlyn says, it is in my house. It's legal like broccoli in my house. I'm open with cannabis anyway. Fuck the guards and their silliness and their games now at this stage, putting people's lives at danger. And final comment coming in there then from Shawnee says, just shows the huge market for it, and there's a massive market for it. And I don't want to be promoting the profits of cannabis at all. What I just want to be promoting is just safe access to it, effective access, and the need for it to be done properly. Because we see what happened in Canada, where I talked with Dana Larson, and he's currently operating an illegal cannabis dispensary, despite the fact that cannabis is legal in Canada. It goes to tell you the problem that comes with legalization. It doesn't suit everybody. It's not always a good thing. It's just changing the discrimination from one farm to another. The fact that you can only grow 6 cannabis plants or 4 cannabis plants, I think, in Canada, it's ridiculous. And the fact that cannabis comes with these ungodly warnings on the products when alcohol does not, just goes to show you, it really just does go to show you. So our community, we need to unite, guys. We need to get strong. We need to get loud, and we really need to get behind this bill that Gino Kenny is going to be putting forward later this year. So what time do we have? Yeah, I'm supposed to be on a meeting there now at the moment at 5 o'clock today, guys. So I'm going to bounce out. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Last comment coming from Keith. He says, I'm with you, Martin, on everything you said. Nice one, Keith, man. Nice one for throwing that in there. Again, I don't have a big huge head. I don't believe I'm right in everything, but these are things that are very close to my heart, and this is why I'm expressing myself on these issues and these issues alone. Cannabis and drug policy, it's something that really needs to change, and none of our politicians are willing to tackle this at all, at least not in any effective measure. So let's see what happened. But guys, until next time, stay blazed out there and keep her lit. Much love to you all, and